Welcome to the Quality Problems Podcast, where we see problems as opportunities to learn, develop, and grow, both on a personal level and with your dog. In this podcast, we'll provide a unique perspective and the tools you'll need to take on challenges and come up with problem-solving solutions. The bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. Now let's get to problem solving. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Quality Problems Podcast. It's your host, Stan Smith, CEO of XDOG. And of course, I got my boys with me. To my left, Mr. Darrick Rose of Dallas Canine Academy.
Yeah, baby.
And to my right, if it ain't right, it's Logan White.
Yes, sir.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, shit, nice. Hey, can you hear me, Gomi?
There it is.
Gomi, you hear me?
All right, so
There you go.
For those who are new to the podcast, welcome. And for those who are not, welcome back. We do appreciate all your support. Every week we come on here, we invest our own time and hopefully to give you guys and provide you guys some knowledge and some value that can help you solve some problems and grow. Today's topic is going to be short and sweet. We're going to talk about facing your fears and how that can cultivate growth in any area of your life. With that being said, I know Logan doesn't want me to start with him first, so I am. Logan.
I'm ready for it, man. Ready for it.
What area in your life have you ever feared? Or what was one of the things that you feared the most? And you feel that you need to face it, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And that
I think the
can help
number
you
one.
grow.
Yeah, I think the number one thing was something I always feared was not being good enough. You know, whether it was being a good enough athlete, being a good enough boyfriend, being a good enough son, whatever it is, all those different categories, is that I never want to let anybody down. I always try my hardest to, have the utmost in spirit and, and my positive attitude and mindset. So I would always fear, like, I got to do this, got to do that, because if I don't, I'm going to lose and I'm going to let these people down. So I think that's something I would always fear, was just not being good enough for something.
But
Yeah.
I want you to be more specific, though. Like, what do you mean by not good enough for something? Like for example, it sounds like you fear failure.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody, doesn't want to fail. I mean, you always want to succeed. You always want to be good at what you do, but sometimes the dice don't fall the way you want them to, so.
But don't you feel like the era right now is, fail fast, fail forward? Like embracing failure.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you don't fear, you don't succeed,
If you don't fear, you don't succeid?
I mean, if you don't fail, you don't succeed.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. If you don't fail, you don't succeed. So, I think that, facing your fears is the best thing you can do, because, it's either you end up on the bright side or you don't. And I guess to put it in more perspective, getting hired on here, not living up to what you wanted me to. I think that was a big thing, was just, starting me off, where I was at, and then end up not being to where you thought I could be. I'd always, think like, oh shit, man, I gotta do this better. And I still do. I'm never satisfied. But I mean, there's always fear. Everybody's gonna fear something. It's just about not dwelling on it and thinking positive.
Have you ever, what about you? Have you ever, held back on something for the fear of being too successful at it?
Shit, no.
No.
Not about being successful.
See, I feel that way sometimes, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I came from a really, 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 really terrible situation growing up. My life was really, really struggling. And at one point, I'm like, now I start seeing success cultivating, and I get, oh shit, what am I? Am I good enough to? Do I deserve this? Am I good enough to get there?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen when I have to manage all of this? I've never experienced that before. I've feared success in a lot of ways.
Well, in that way, yeah, I would agree. Now, one of my fears is not living up to what my kids want me to be or expect for me to be. Fear not knowing how to love. And when I say that, I mean by growing up in an African-American home, we're like taught, protect, provide. Provide, protect. But what's in between those two words? So when you have a wife or a husband or whatever the case may be, you have to know how to love. And that's something that I feared to tell my wife. I don't know how to love you.
Yeah.
So I took it up on. I'm starting to take it up on myself to like read about love, how to love your wife, how to
Yeah.
love your spouse, and things like that. So I feared coming out and saying that, hey,
Yeah.
hey, man, I really don't know how to love you.
Yeah.
I really don't. I love you, but I don't know how to show you how
Yeah.
much I love you. So that's one thing I feared. And then, like I mentioned, like with my kids, I feared them seeing me fail.
Yeah.
So that's why I bust my butt every day to provide for my kids and to show them that, hey, dad is going to always be here
Yeah.
and things like that. Now, transition that over to dogs. I fear failure every time I step on the trial field. For any competitor that say I don't have that fear or I'm not getting butterflies, I think they're lying. I've achieved something that a lot of people won't achieve in a sport, but I still, to this day, would get fear, butterflies of
Yeah.
failing, and not failing for everyone else, but failing my own expectations of myself.
Well,
Yeah.
they say dogs sense energy. If you're nervous and you have this fear or this, I think anything that you fear can create anxiety.
Yeah.
How do you control that? How do you channel that before you get on the field so it does not affect you and your dog's performance?
Good question. The way I handle it is once I get my dog off the truck, we are heeling all the way up to the gate. I'm nervous the whole way. I'm playing around with him, trying to loosen myself up. Once I get to the gate, I said this before, I say a prayer with my dog. I pray. And then right after I pray, we cuss.
Yeah.
I cuss, and then we get and then we get on the field, and then I'm loose. I'm
Yeah.
feeling good because I'm like, okay, we're playing with house money here.
Yeah.
We just go out on the field like we're training. But before that, I do fear failing.
I was gonna say I know that Stan. A question for you. I know that you've told us multiple times that you kind of feared just hiring us all on. Starting something you never started of, being a boss of multiple people. Moving forward, it was always just you, Steven, and T and stuff like that. And you just had to jump into that. I mean, talk about that when it comes to fearing just having overhead and all that type of stuff that you had to deal with.
Well, I think what really helped me was getting a mentor and completely changing my perspective. Before I would look at hire-ons as a bill instead of an investment. When I finally got a mentor and started listening to my mentor and applying myself more, yeah, there was a fear in building this place and going all in on this place. And there was a fear of hiring people on, but as you know, we just continue. Now it's kind of like we hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
And it's just different, man. Like it's one of those things where I think everybody can relate to this. We fear uncertainty. We always want to be certain,
Yeah.
but then certainty makes us comfortable, and comfortable doesn't cultivate growth. Uncomfortability cultivates growth.
Yes.
Right.
So you got to be able to face fear and face challenges head on. But shit, man, like I fear heights. I'm not gonna fucking rock climb, or jump out of an airplane. But
Yeah.
so it's kind of strange. I think it really depends on what your goal is. It's kind of like people. I don't know if you probably know. You have a son that competes in sports. I know back in the day when we used to really compete in like boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, you had those guys that were really good in practice, but when it came to competition, they would demolish kids that were nationally elite kids in the practice gym, but those national elite kids would always end up on top when it came to the moment,
when the
show was
lights
on.
came on. Yeah. With my oldest son, he's here and listening to us right now. With him in sports, I never feared him suffering an injury in basketball. But when it comes to football, I'm on eggshells.
Yeah.
From the kickoff to the final second on the clock, I'm nervous. The games that I'm not able to attend, I'm watching on TV, right? Yeah. So I could stream all of his games on my TV. So I'm still nervous. I make sure my door's closed so other kids can't come in there. I want to watch everything. And if he goes down, I'll probably be on the first flight to where he's playing that.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that fear is a good learning tool, or a tool that you can use, putting fear in somebody, or putting fear in your dog in training, or putting? I think where I messed up as a father growing up, I put a lot of fear into my children to perform.
Yeah.
And it was a mistake.
That's a huge mistake. Like with my son, I think I'm part of the reason why he quit basketball, because I was always on him about training, always on him about correct form on his jumper, always on him about having his butt low, knees bent, back straight on defense, hands out, palms up. I was always on him because that's the sport I really, really focused on as a kid. And I quit football in like 8th and 9th grade. So he was like, Psh, I'm going to pick up where my daddy left off and pass him up.
Yeah, he surpassed you by tenfold.
Yeah, he got me.
He's a way better athlete than you. Probably
No. I wouldn't say athlete. He's He's better at football because he
I think he's faster. I think he jumps higher. I feel like he's stronger than you.
He's better
in every aspect.
Stan, that's bull. He's not better.
It's all right, though. It's all right.
He would not beat me. I told him this the other day. You would not beat me at tic-tac-toe. You would not beat me at Connect Four. You would not beat me at Uno. Any damn thing wrong with that, you would not beat me.
Do you fear
losing?
losing?
Know why you won't beat me? Because I love me, and you'll never beat me.
Do you fear losing to him?
Hell no. He would not beat me.
Nah, it's all right.
I fear the way he's going to feel when I beat him.
He's got to accept it and move on. You know, I'd beat you.
Well, then that kind of goes past your whole theory of like you want the next person to be better than you.
Not my son.
Why not?
That's messed up, man.
No. I want him to be better than me, but it'll never happen. I'm the greatest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I get what you're saying, Stan. I mean, I think fear is.
Did you were you ever coached with fear? Because it seems like you kind of thrive off it sometimes, but then sometimes you have anxiety over it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have anxiety, but I don't really fear a whole lot of things. I mean, I have fears, but I don't let them control me. You know.
What do you do? What do you do? What's your? I mean, we have a listener who may be in your shoes. What's some advice?
I would tell him like, if you're sitting here constantly thinking about something and you're fearing it, then just go straight to thinking positive, because, I'm a big on the it is what it is. Like if shit happens, it's gonna happen. That's God's path. That's you can't control that. Like so, don't sit there and contemplate and think like, oh, is this gonna happen? This gonna happen? I'm gonna fear this. I'm gonna fear that. If shit happens, it happens.
You know what I've always noticed, and not to interrupt you, that the shit that I've always feared, it was pointless fearing it, and it always end up working out.
Absolutely.
They say the things that you fear are the things you can't control.
Exactly.
And once you feel like you lost control, I got this from my counselor, right? Once you feel like you can't control it, then you start having anxiety, and then you start panicking. So the best thing to do is start focusing on things you are able to control.
Yeah, absolutely.
To lower that anxiety.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, that's something that you can use. Logan, that's something you can use also. Because I don't panic.
Right.
Unless I'm finna lose my wife, then I'm fucking panic.
Yeah. Nah, I mean that's true. I mean, there's so many people that that deal with anxiety. And part of dealing with anxiety is constantly thinking that something's gonna happen. So like if I don't take some medicine, or if I'm in a situation where I'm like, damn, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? My anxiety kicks in. But from mentors and trying to learn through the best of people is that just focus on the positive, like because if you don't, you're gonna drown yourself in that shit.
Yeah.
But it seems like now it's like the thinking positive is just such a loosely used term, like positive thinker.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a go-to, but at the end of the day, like
man.
it's massive. At the end of the day, like thinking positive is the biggest thing you can do. I mean,
thinking perspective.
In every situation. I mean, if it's financial, if it's in the gym, if it's your diet, whatever it is, you're constantly thinking you're gonna get there. You're constantly thinking you're gonna be successful. You're constantly thinking that you're gonna, be better than this person, or because you don't want to think I'm not. I'm not this. I'm not that. That's when.
Now I use failure as a motivator myself. Like I'm always looking at other people's videos to see, okay,
right,
their dog is my dog's age, or they're ahead of me. And if I see someone that I think is ahead of me, then I step my game up with my dog. I looked at a video of I was about to say my old dog. I looked at a video of Casino when he was 13 months old.
Yeah.
Then I looked at my other dog, and I'm like, wow, shit, man. We're a little bit behind now, man.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about not exceeding now what I did with my other dog.
So you applying more pressure to yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Why do you think you're behind?
Because, man, Casino was doing some crazy stuff at 13 months.
Yeah.
That my dog is not there yet. You know, so I'm gonna have to step it up. It's not my dog. It's me. It's me.
See, and that's another podcast episode. We're going to talk about self-accountability. I always notice that when you talk about your dog's failures, you don't hold that dog accountable. You hold yourself accountable.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the biggest, most important key factors.
Absolutely.
You know, that's why I challenge people with this I am XDOG challenge. And you know, my first week's phrase is run your life as you would expect a business owner to run their business, because your life is your business.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow. But think about it. If we use that same concept with relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's hard for us to use, and the people probably fear the hell out of that, right? So let's say you have a wife, right? And she's blaming you, or if she does
Or
something.
in his case, husband.
Yeah, your husband. Let's say she's doing something, right?
Yeah.
And you always like, crap, it's my wife's fault. It's her fault. It's her fault. Instead of looking in the mirror and saying, maybe it's something I did to make her react that way. You know?
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I get you.
Same thing with the dog. You say it's not the dog's fault. We're quick to say it's not our dog's fault.
I think everybody's quick to say that anybody else's fault. Like, I think one of the hardest things is to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've noticed about this challenge, because I always tell people, like, I ask them the questions. Are you vicariously living through your dog?
Yeah.
Are you trying to fix your dog's problems? Are you asking your dog to be disciplined? Are you asking your dog to eat the right foods? Are you asking your dog to work your ass off? And are you doing it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you're not doing it, then you're not leading by example, but technically you're your pack's leader. So is your pack being led by a weak-minded individual?
Yeah. I'm loving that, Stan, because I get people say, I don't want a Malawak because they're an active dog. And you know, the first thing that pops in my head, you must be a lazy asshole.
Absolutely.
See, the reason why I don't want a Malinois because I know I can't put the time into it.
Yeah,
because
that's different.
Yeah, because of everything I have on my plate, and
Yeah.
I know that I respect the genetics of a Malinois
Yeah.
to go. Shit, man, I'm not gonna have the time to
That's
apply into
different when you say you don't have that time
Yeah.
than saying, oh, that dog's too active.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
No,
get what
no.
you're
That's
saying.
big
I
difference.
mean,
But-
yeah.
It's kind of crazy because it's kind of like if I post something where, hey, we're gonna give away a product. Hey, what's up, Stan? Hey, da, da, da. And then I'm like, you challenge somebody, then you notice the people that are really not vicariously living through their dogs, they'll like the post and there'll be very little likes, right?
Yeah.
But when you're giving stuff away and you're talking about your struggles and you're talking about things that I guess more people can relate to of weakness towards weakness, I feel like it's weak-minded shit, man. Like, I still struggle to today because, speaking of fear, I fear alcohol. But then I'm like, shit, man, am I a weak piece of shit because I can't have a drink of alcohol because it controls me? You know what I mean? Like, it's some crazy shit, man. And it goes back to even putting food in your body, you know? Like, damn, I can't say no to a fucking Oreo, you know? I can't say no to fucking corn chips over here.
The corn chips. Now, I relate to that. How you were saying it's not, the dog's fault, it's my fault. I mean, just like in basketball, obviously I played it growing up, went to college for it. Fuck, dude, if I went 0 for 12 in a game, it wasn't the basketball's fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't the rim's fault. It's because I wasn't in the gym putting the work in.
Yeah.
Or because, I was on the court and I'm constantly fearing that I ain't going to make the jumper. Like,
Well, there's a lot of things too, man. Like everybody that we've invested in to come on and to build XR, because we could not do this without you. We couldn't do it without Gomi. We couldn't do it without you. We couldn't do it without Steven. Like all this stuff was built. It was not built from me. It was built from the team around us. So when you guys are not doing something correctly, I say it, I get hard on you because I care about you and I want to see you win. Right. And it's because I'm trying to say, look, don't make the same mistakes that I did. Here's why, and this is what you need to do. I want to see you win. You know what I mean?
Right. And
I feel like if you guys fail or if you guys don't end up succeeding, it's my fault. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel the same way. I feel like, obviously with you being the CEO and the mentor to us, like, if you're failing, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like the company's failing. So that's why that's going back to thinking positive. That's why I constantly try to think positive.
Speaking of positive, if you see, I don't want you to think that way.
Think
the reason
what?
why I'm saying
Think
that,
positive.
I don't want you to think because he's failing, you feel like you're failing. I want you to feel like if you see the head dropping, you're going to be there to be the crutch
Yeah.
to help pick him up. That's the way you should think. Oh, Stan's
Right.
having trouble with this. Hey, let's help pick him
Well,
up.
that's what I do think. That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking positive. I'm saying that that's a fear.
Yeah.
That we're talking about being,
Yeah.
fear. That's something I fear. Like, not getting to where we need to be.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how facing your fear can cultivate growth.
Yeah. Shit. 100%.
Yeah.
Where was the one of the most fearful things that you've ever done, and when you did it, you grew the most out of it?
I start
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm thinking.
quitting corporate America.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Cold turkey was the scariest thing because I thought about it. I contemplated on it time in and time out. And the day I did it, I was scared shitless. I didn't know if my lady was going to leave me. I didn't know what I was going to do. But that decision was the best decision other than having married my wife and my kids. That's the best decision I've ever made as an adult.
Yeah, that
As
makes sense.
as a human, period.
But
it was scary.
Yeah. I mean, straight up, I think the biggest fear that I've had, it was, growing up, sports was all I knew, right?
Yeah.
So I went and played ball out of high school and got done playing, right? Didn't have a degree, not associates, didn't have a bachelor's, I didn't have nothing, right? And I'm going into the real world, like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old, what the fuck am I gonna do? I have no degree, I don't know a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And I feared, like, am I gonna be anything when I get older? Am I gonna live at the house till I'm 30 years old with my parents?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. So I started listening to mentors. I started picking up on things, and I'm at where I'm at today. Because of help and because of not dwelling on the past and not thinking negative and straight up thinking positive. And it got me to where I'm at because of facing my fears and like, nah, man, I'm not gonna be like that. I'm not gonna end up like that.
Yeah.
I worked a job where I was, and this goes for anybody. And if you do this type of work, I mean, there's the difference. Like, I was doing construction, and I'm 20 years old on top of a roof, right? Just fucking working my ass off every day, and I hated it. And I look around, there'd be 30, 40-year-old men doing it, and I was like, I don't want to be like that when I'm older. I don't want to be bending my back over, working like this. Like, you know what I mean? I want to get into something to where it's, I can be so much, there's no cap. I can be so successful to where, I'm not stuck, but I was looking at it from their perspective. I was like, well, I don't have a family to feed. I don't have, there's so many different situations. And, that was a big eye opener too, which is just like,
No pun intended.
that was a, that was a big eye opener, man. Was,
okay, I heard you first time.
just not being able to, not knowing what I was going into when I got into the real world. Because, like I said, all I did was play sports my whole life, and I quit that with no degree, no trade, not knowing anything. I mean, and just having faith and not facing your fears and learning what you need to do through the course of everything got me where I'm at. So,
well, I think the reality is that facing your fears is extremely important.
Yeah.
It's no matter what area of life you're going to be in. I know a lot of you guys, it's kind of crazy because, when you speak about corporate America, that's about 90% of everybody out there right now. And then we're hitting this area of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And the internet changed the whole game. And a lot of people are contemplating because they're not happy working for someone else.
Absolutely.
And so that's a big, I can definitely relate to that. And I know a lot of people, I know a ton of people that can relate to that. So
Before we cut out, right, I want to touch on, like, not just African American kids, but other young people that fear getting married at a young age. I want them to take this and hold on to it. You get married at a young age doesn't mean you missed out on anything in life.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you missed out on anything. Only thing you missed out on is diseases, drugs, alcohol, and all the nonsense that goes on in today's world.
Yeah.
What you're not going to miss out on is family. You're going to find someone who's going to be your wife. You all going to build your credit together. You're going to build a house together. Your foundation is going to be solid, and you're going to have some beautiful kids together. That's what life is all about. It's not about missing out on the parties and things like that. And once you do that, my my counselor made another good point, right? When you build a house and you build it on sand, the foundation is going to crumble. You have to build it on solid foundation when you're going to do that. And if they do, the young people, if they get married early with the right person that God put in their life, don't fear that it's going to fail, because God never allows anything to fail that he put his stamp on.
Right, absolutely.
All right?
100%.
Well, another quick episode. Great episode, though, man. For those who are new to the podcast, if you could do us a solid, man, leave us a review if you're on iTunes, or go give us a like on YouTube. Go check us out. Subscribe to Spotify or YouTube, or iTunes. Was it YouTube and Spotify and iTunes, right? Yeah. Man, we definitely appreciate all your support. We could not do it without you. Again, don't fear leaving a comment, man. We love getting comments. We love getting your feedback. And, man, thank you again. And we look forward to solving some more problems with you in the future. Adios.
See ya.
Peace.